because I want to prioritize that. You're not in trouble. But if your essay from last week isn't in, I'd like you to log out of class and do that. And I'm recording this for you. Okay. You don't have to. You can stay in class if you want to. But I'm recommending that if anybody did not get their essay turned in through Blackboard last night, that you use today's class time to go handle that. Is there anybody in that boat? We're in a non-judgment zone. We're in a non-judgment zone here, but make sure that you're doing that. If you don't have your essay in Blackboard, use today's class time to do that, and then come back and watch the recording later. Okay, is anybody else in that boat? Okay. All right, we are talking about our evaluative essay. It's our last essay other than our exams. It's very exciting. And we're going to get started with that today. So I'm going to take attendance and then we'll do a screen share and talk about that. All right, so Andrew, how are you today? Good, and your essay got in, your argument essay final draft got in? Yay, hot dog. Okay. Altasia, are you here? She's struggling. Jayla? Hey, Jayla, how are you? Good. Okay. Eric Burrell? Takaya Christian? Savannah? How are you doing? Good. Destiny? Jasmine H? How are you doing? Good. Did your essay get into Blackboard? I saw it emailed to me, but did it get into Blackboard? No, you need to upload that into Blackboard. Yeah, I know. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I got that email, but I can't take papers by email. They've got to all be in Blackboard. That's a rule that I've been given by my administrator. Okay. All right. Good. Austin, how are you doing? Good. Your essay got in okay? Okay. Caitlin, how about you? Good. Okay. I'm going to mark Jessica as trying to be here because I'm the one that kicked her out. That's not her fault. I'm going to mark that as excused. Okay. Let's see. Takaya Randall, are you here? My iPhone. How are you doing today? Good. Stay on at the end and we'll talk about the criterion issue you were having, see if we can solve it, okay? Okay, Errol, are you here? Miles, how are you doing? Good. Did you get your essay in? Awesome, hot dog. Amaya Thomas, Amaya, are you here? Oh, I'm so glad. On both counts. Are you driving? Okay, please be safe. That's my #1 priority for you is your health and safety. Elizabeth, are you here? How are you doing? Good, thanks. Tyson, are you here? Darius emailed me. And Prentice, are you here? How are you doing today? Good. Okay, I'm going to screen share and we'll talk about our next week or this week. We're entering week what? What are we entering here for our class? Who's 12? That's right. All right. So we're entering week 12. This week should be considerably easier than last week. And really the work that's coming at you is going to be easier than that research essay. I am going to talk about this. There's one more chance to make improvements to that research essay one of our exams, the department requires 2 exams, and one of them is a revised research essay. Okay, and so what we do is I create an exam space, and you take whatever feedback you get this week on your research essays, and you submit it again in the exam space. And if your grade goes up, then I change the grade in the old space as well. Okay, so that's it's a nice thing to have happen. Okay, but that's coming up in like week 15. We'll handle that. Okay, so you have some time to get that back. Okay, we are in week 12 and we are starting our evaluative writing. Evaluative writing seems like an unnecessarily fancy term for writing a review, right? But we're writing a review. Okay, so have you all read reviews like of products on Amazon before you buy them, or of a movie you're trying to decide if you're going to spend the money on seeing it or not? Have you read reviews? Is it yes, no? Has anybody read any reviews? What have you read reviews of? Okay, and were they? Did you get them and did you like them? Awesome. Yeah, see, so reviews are really helpful. Has anybody here read a negative review that made them decide not to buy something? What was that, Jasmine? So what? So I hear yeah, and so you decided not. What about the review made you decide not to buy it? I love that. Okay, so that saved you some money, didn't it? Okay, so one of the biggest things we need to remember about a review is that it doesn't matter whether you like the product or not, and whether you're recommending it or not. Okay, so this isn't the place for a good attitude. Okay, I know it sounds weird, but you don't have to worry about saying, I don't like this. Okay, a lot of students will, I'm going to show you, walk you around the week, and then we'll talk about it some more. So there's a sample evaluative essay, and I'm going to walk through that with you. There's a quiz on evaluative writing that's based on the video on evaluative writing and the sample essay. So make sure you engage with those 2 things before you take the quiz. Then I'm asking you to watch 3 short films. All 3 of these films are less than 10 minutes long, so please watch the whole thing. It's only 10-minute animated video, okay? It's just a 10-minute animated short, okay? And these are what we are reviewing. So you're going to choose one of these to review. Now, the first set of emails I get about this is always, I don't like any of them. Can I choose something else? And what's my answer? You know I'm bossy. What's my answer? No, because you don't have to like them. You can write a negative review. Right? So keep in mind, if you're watching these, you might not like any of them. You might be rolling your eyes that they're all 3 of them dumb and stupid and boring and you hate them. Fine. Let's write a negative review. It's okay to write a negative review. Okay. So we have a discussion board, and this is the initial post is due on Wednesday. Let's walk through what I'm asking you to do in the discussion board, because this is the first thing due this week. So with the discussion board, you will write 2 short 5 to 7 sentence paragraphs. Please make sure there's an empty line between paragraphs, okay? So that empty space between paragraphs in your entry, so that we can see which one is which and that there's a separation. In the first paragraph, tell your classmates which movie you liked the best and why. So of the 3 short films, which one did you like the best and why? In the second paragraph, I want you to tell us which movie you liked the least and why. Okay, so we're just kind of getting in touch with the opinionated side of ourselves. Which one did you like the best and which one did you write the like the least. And then you're responding to 3 peers' posts. Add 2 or 3 sentences to what your peers have said about one of these movies. Perhaps you want to defend a movie they disliked, or perhaps you want to tell them why you did not like a movie that they did like. Okay? Please be polite in your interactions. We don't want to make anybody have, let's not have a lot of feelings about this. So you can say, really, you liked Big Buck Bunny? Oh, I thought it was so dumb and the music was annoying. I really didn't like it. That's okay, right? We're trying to get in touch with our opinions this week and be comfortable saying why we like something and why we don't like it. Sometimes a negative review is actually the better review. I know that when I'm on Amazon, I kind of skim through the positive reviews and I go to the negative reviews and see if the negative reviews are things like it got damaged in the mail, which I don't care about, or this product fell apart after 2 weeks of use, which I do care about, right? So I actually read the negative reviews on Amazon first, because those are going to tell me more than the people who are like, I love it, right? Plus, we know people get paid to write positive reviews. Right, so nobody's paying you. You get to actually say your own opinion, right? Now, the other thing to think about this week is that sometimes you have mixed feelings about something. Sometimes you mostly like it, but there's something about it that bothers you. Right? And in those cases, you can develop a thesis that says, I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 stars, right? I like it for the most part, but there's one little thing I didn't like, okay? And that's okay. You don't have to like everything about something to say you mostly like it, right? So I'm actually going to stop the share for a second. No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Amazon for a second. I'm going to go to 2 different places. I'm going to go to Rotten Tomatoes because Rotten Tomatoes is a fun place. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at one of their reviews. Now, these are really pretty short. So actually, yeah, so little short reviews. Luxor, Spell, The Dark and the Wicked, City Hall, Phantoms, Gretel and Hansel, How to Fix a Primary, Ammonite, Digging for Fire. Boy, there's a lot of stuff that's pretty bad out here. Okay, I'm going to check again with I'm going to check for sort of an older one here. Let's look up some of the reviews for Black Panther. Because I want to look on Common Sense Media. Common Sense Media is something that reviews it for its age. Its age is 12 plus. It said what parents need to know. Okay. So this is talking about thinking about a particular audience, and this is something that can really help you out when you're evaluating, is thinking about creating an audience for this. And one of the things I would recommend is pretend you're a youth group leader, okay? And your job here is to tell the other youth group leaders whether they should show this film to their youth group or not. Okay, so let's kind of think of that as our audience, all right? Are you going to argue for or against showing this to your local youth group? Okay, they're animated shorts. Some of them are about bullying, some of them are about growing up, some of them, but I'd like you to think about that audience, okay? So this is a parents need to know that Black Panther is the first film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to center on a superhero of color. We love that. African Prince turned King T'Challa, aka the Black Panther. As in all superhero movies, there's plenty of violence. In this case, mostly brutal hand-to-hand combat that gets quite intense with bloody injuries and even deaths. Although there are a few shootouts with superpowered guns, cannons, as well as some cold-blooded killings, the majority of the action features spear and blade fighting. That said, some of the confrontations do include larger explosive battles and very destructive car chases. Language and sexual content are pretty minimal, a few uses of the S word and hell, and a couple of quick kisses. That mostly, so you can see that one of the things that they're doing is setting out some criteria. They're saying, okay, let's talk about the violence. Let's talk about the sexual content, right? Let's talk about the language, right? Let's talk about the cast, right? Brilliant and female inventor and engineer. Families who see Black Panther have plenty to talk about afterwards, from its portrayal of race and genders, the overall importance of having Black superheroes as main characters rather than sidekicks. So they're getting that, they're putting the message that the movie has as one of the criteria they're reviewing and one of the things that makes it a good movie, right? So we're going to do sort of the same thing. So I'm actually going to open up a Word document here. And we're going to talk about criteria, okay? We're going to use, can you still see my screen? Sometimes when I open a Word document, you can't see it. Okay. Okay, so first thing we're going to do in this essay, and I'll make it bigger in a second. First, establish a rating for your film. So you're going to choose a film and establish a rating. So that could be 2 thumbs up. It could be 4 out of 5 stars. It could be an A- or a B+. Or a C-, right? It could be ABC grades. It could be 9 or be 8 out of 10 stars, right? And you're going to establish what your rating is, okay? My daughter does thumbs up, thumbs down, and thumbs in the middle, which is not a rating I had ever heard of before she made it up. But thumbs in the middle sometimes for new foods and stuff like that. But first thing we're going to do is establish a rating for our film. The next thing we're going to do is use 3 criteria as the basis of your evaluation. So again, we're not looking for a summary of the movie, and that's one of the things that students do incorrectly sometimes with this essay, is that they tell me, they recount the whole film. I've watched all the films. You don't need to tell me what happens. You need to tell me whether you like it or not and why. Okay, so what are some of the criteria that you use to decide whether you like something or not? You tell me, what are some of the criteria that you use to decide whether you like an animated movie or not? Now remember, it's animated, so acting is going to be only if it's voice acting, right? But what do you have? What do you use to decide? Good. The quality of the animation, absolutely. So whether it's high or low, like sometimes you watch a cartoon and you're like, I can't even stand to watch this. This is such bad drawing. It's driving me crazy. I hate it. What else do we use for criteria? Okay. Yeah, the message or the story, or is sometimes there's a moral to the story, what it's teaching you, what it's teaching. Good. What else do we use to decide if we like something or not when it's an animated short? Anybody have to watch cartoons with a kid and there are some that you can watch and some that you just cannot stand to watch? You may not be there yet. You don't have to watch with little brothers and sisters. You're like, oh my God, I can't stand that. Okay, what is one of the things that turns like you just can't stand to watch it? Well, don't worry about what the piece is. What is it that drives you crazy about it? Okay. So the music, good. Not mucus, not mucus, music. Okay, so the music in the background can drive you crazy. What else can drive you crazy? I know there are cartoons where I just can't even, I didn't even let my kid watch them. And it was, okay, so I don't know, let me try to think of how to put that. Stupid, not stupid. Um, Now we probably want to fish around for some more academic language for that. My daughter likes my daughter gets really upset when she feels like, you know, like she's got to do all these learning programs now for like for math and reading. She has to do certain programs because they might have to go virtual again, so they're keeping them in these programs. And sometimes the characters talk to her in a way she feels is really condescending for a third grader. Like, they're still talking like this. You're like, oh my God, that's awful. So she uses the phrase, she uses the word condescending, like it talks down to them or it treats them like they're dumb. Um, Dora, I think, is one of those where it's supposed to be a kid who's like 8 or 9, but it's aimed at kids who are 3 or 4. So the other thing, right? So Dora might have been fun when you were 3, but by the time you're 8, it's no longer appropriate. So whether it's appropriate for the target age is really important. And there are some things where, and this will happen, I mean, the more you watch animated cartoons, the more you'll realize some are made, and they're supposed to be made for children, but they're going to go right over the kids' heads. Or they're made for younger children, but the younger children aren't going to get it, or they're made for older children, but it's too babyish. And sometimes they just miss, right? Sometimes I watch an animated short and say, what age do you think is watching this video? Like, who is this for? And those sometimes are a fail for me because I don't think the person making the animated short really had an audience age in mind, right? And one of the ones you're going to watch is one that gave me that problem. Like, actually, 2 of them. I watched 2 of these videos and I was like, what age do you think this is for? Like, this is weird, right? So is it appropriate for the age that it's targeting? And for that, you'd have to think about what age you think it's targeting. Like, is this actually for adults or teenagers? Who is this for, right? And if it's unclear, that might be something we don't like about it. I'm going to do this one. How many of you have ever watched a cartoon or turned it off because the voices were too annoying? Anybody? Well, then you haven't watched Caillou. Woo, that kid is whiny. So have you ever turned a cartoon off because of the voices were too annoying? Yeah, yeah. All right, that can happen. What else might be something that you really need to, that you use to decide whether you like something or don't like it? The script or the plot, right? The characters. The characters' personalities might be really great or really not great. What are some other criteria that you might use to say whether you like something that you've watched or not? Yeah, you can really like or dislike a theme. Mm-hmm. Um, if something is violent, violence level, level of explicit language, like if they're cussing or something, maybe you find that offensive, right? Remember, not every cartoon is made for children. If you watch The Simpsons or you watch South Park and you're offended by some of those themes, and you're definitely not going to show that to your little kid, right? Because they're going to take on some new language if they watch South Park. So make sure that you're realizing that not everything that's a cartoon is aimed at kids. Level of violence, level of explicit language. What else might be a criteria that you would use to assess something? So one of the things that I've noticed is that sometimes I get bored watching something, and y'all, these are 10-minute shorts. If it can't hold your attention for 10 minutes, is it very good? I mean, it seems like they ought to be able to hold your, so if you find yourself reaching for your phone to multitask while you're watching a video, maybe it's not a very good video, right? Now, I'm going to ask you to return your attention to the video, but if it lost you partway through, try to figure out why. Why did it lose you? Why were you like, oh, let me go watch something else while I'm watching this? Let me do something at the same time so I'm not as bored. Think about that. Something that's only 10 minutes long, you should not be like dying to avoid it, right? And if you are, let's see if we can articulate why. Does it hold your interest? Does it lose your interest at some point? If it lost your interest, where did it lose your interest? There's at least one of these videos that I've tried to watch like a million times. I don't think I've ever gotten to the end because I keep getting bored. And it's only 10 minutes. Y'all, if it can't keep my attention for 10 minutes, it's not that great, right? So, and again, you're like, well, why are you making us watch it? I've had students review it as their top pick. We have different tastes. That's why I'm having you review it. Things that I like might not necessarily be the things that you like, and vice versa. Differences of opinion are what make the world go round. So it's fine if I don't like something, and it's fine if you do, right? There's only one of the films that I've put out there that I actually like. Two of them I think are interesting, but I don't like them. So, so that's okay, right? You don't have to like any of them, right? You don't have to like any of them. If you don't like any of them, pick one you don't like and pan it. That's what we say when we give something a bad review. We pan it, okay? All right, so this is what we're talking about for criteria. I'm going to stop the share and see if you have questions about the evaluative writing. We do need to summarize the film a little bit, but where would that go in this essay? Can you think of where that would go in this essay? I'm stroking my beard while you think. Where do you think a short couple of sentence summary of what the film is about should go in this essay? Yes, ma'am. It's in that raising the subject naturally and then setting the scene and give the background part. It's in the first half of the thesis paragraph, right? First you got to say what the film is. And please don't do the film I chose is, because that's not a natural way of introducing something, right? Instead say, I watched a film called this on YouTube, and it was called this, and it was about this. That's a little bit more, we want to, in everything you do, you want to try to pretend nobody's forcing you to do this. That's better writing. Then you made me pick it, and I picked this one. So we want to get all the way to that, doing it on purpose. Hey, y'all, I'm not seeing about half the class. Can we come back, please, into video screen? Okay, thank you. That's a little bit better. I think he's struggling with that a little bit. Okay. Jasmine, can you hear me? Okay. All right. There we go. She's joining back in. Okay. All right. So we do that in the thesis paragraph, and then each body paragraph is going to be talking about that a certain criteria. So you say, well, how are you going to know that we watched the whole film? In each body paragraph, you're going to go through that criteria in the beginning, middle, and end of the short film. So let's say you wanted to talk about the voices, okay? That'll be one of your paragraphs. That's one of your body paragraphs. So you say, I didn't like it because the voices, the music, and the message, they were all horrible, okay? So let's start by talking about how annoying the voices were. The voices were annoying because, and then you say it was really shrill in the beginning where she complains about this, and then she starts shouting in the middle and it gets even worse, and in the end she's complaining again, and I'm just so sick of her whining by then I can't stand it, right? So beginning, middle, and end for that thing about the voices, okay? And so that's how we're going to get that sense to our reader that we watched the whole film. Does that make sense? A little bit, a lot. All right, let's talk about an outline for this. I'm going to do share screen and I'm going to go back to that Word document. All right, you should see my Word document again. This is the criteria. Let's talk about an outline, okay? Let's get to a new page. So an outline is going to look real simple here. Roman numeral 1 is going to be whether you liked it. I liked Bow very much. A plus, okay? And then A is going to be the message. It was uplifting to me as a parent. I hated this film, y'all, so this I'm making this up. B is going to be the animation. Quality was excellent. I can't type today. And then C is going to be the music was beautiful. Okay. And then for each A, B, and C, you know what you need to do. You need to do your 1, 2s, and 3s in detailing that. Does that make sense? Simple outline. This is your thesis paragraph, and this is body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and body paragraph 3. Does that make sense? You can also do a negative review. Let's do a negative review. I hated Bow. One star. Gonna give Bow a 1-star review. And again, we're gonna do my A is gonna be message was creepy. Parents need to let go. And then the animation was uncanny and weird. And then C is going to be, I hated that there was no dialogue, right? Just your complaints about it, right? Maybe because there was no dialogue, you got bored, right? Or you had a hard time following it or whatever. So, and then again, I would need to put in my 1, 2s, and 3s for the specifics of what was annoying me about it. The same way I would need to put in the specifics, what I liked about it. Okay, Does that make sense? Don't skip the outline, y'all. I think I'm even requiring one this time. So does that make sense? Are we clear on that? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go back to this week in, go back to this week in Blackboard, close that out, and I think watch Perla short film, watch Bow. I want to check on something. Criteria. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, no, I'll update those. I just opened it right before class. I'm also going to put in the assignment for this week, which is going to be the outline that I'm going to ask you to do, but I'll do that after class and it'll be there. So you're going to have a quiz, a discussion board, and an assignment. The assignment will just be an outline, okay? And I'll put a sample outline in there. While we're here, let's go over the sample evaluative essay, though. That'll really help us know what we're aiming for, okay? Okay, well, we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that. Okay, so here's a sample student essay. This one, they are reviewing a restaurant instead of a short film, so it's a little different for them than it was for you, but the principles are still the same, right? So let's look at some of the things that are highlighted here. I'll make this bigger so it's a little easier for y'all to see with me, right? There are a lot of restaurants that I like, again, raising the subject naturally, but my favorite is Okinawa. This restaurant is located off Lakeshore next to Takokasa. I was introduced to this restaurant by my parents. Again, a little bit of summary. They're always looking for somewhere new to eat so that my little brother and I are able to experience different types of food. This is where I tried sushi for the first time and I immediately fell in love with it. So they're starting off with raising the subject naturally. Not the restaurant I picked is Okinawa, right? That's not natural. This is a nice, fluid, natural opening. Giving some background, setting the scene, getting us with her, and talking about the restaurant. And then she has that thesis statement, which here is the review. Every aspect of the restaurant gets an A+ rating for me. And then she told me what criteria she was going to use to evaluate it. Now, I would have preferred she did this in 3 sentences instead of 1. You know that, right? I don't go for lists. Lists are awkward, but she has them, and I like that. The service is great, the food is good, and the location is convenient, right? So she set up her criteria, and that's the same way you're going to do it. I hated this movie. Here are my 3 reasons why, okay? So this isn't summarizing the film. This is a film, and here's what happens at the beginning, in the middle, and the end. If you do that, you're going to have to redo it, right? So you're setting up those criteria. And then her topic sentence each time should match. So right now we're going to be talking about service. So this paragraph, sure enough, as soon as you walk into the restaurant, you're greeted with a smile, and this great service is the way the whole restaurant is run. So bam, service right off the bat, just like she promised. And then she talks about service for a nice, well-developed paragraph. Okay. Nice, well-developed paragraph. And then now we're talking about the food. That was the second thing she's talking about. And she's used a transitional phrase. Not only, that's a great transitional phrase, not only is the service good, but the food is amazing. We know what she's going to talk about. And the fact that she's saying positive words that connects to the thesis. She talks about the food for a nice, full, well-developed paragraph. Another transitional phrase for this topic sentence, as I said earlier in the essay, the restaurant is located off the Lakeshore exit, which makes it very convenient. Again, we've got another transition phrase. We've got her positive review, and we've got the location, which we know this paragraph will be about. So she talks about the location for a nice, well-developed paragraph, and then she has her conclusion where she wraps it all up and then tells me that I should go visit it. Okay, and so I'm going to let you read through it at your own pace, but make sure that you're looking for how they set it up with the review kind of partway through that thesis paragraph, and then the criteria are set out very carefully, and then each body paragraph meets and discusses one of those sets of criteria. Does that make sense? You're going to choose one of the 3 movies to review. That's correct. I couldn't do a restaurant this time because some people aren't comfortable going to restaurants. And, you know, restaurants are kind of, you know, weird right now because a lot of it's takeout or dine outside, or if you're inside, they can't have very many tables open. So I really didn't want to do a restaurant right now. It seems weird. So I'm giving you something where I know everybody can watch it and have an opinion about it. And again, you don't have to like it. You can dislike it very much. You can say, I hated this movie. I regret spending 10 minutes of my life watching it. Nobody else should be forced to watch it. And that's fine. I don't care. You can give it a very negative review if you want to. As a matter of fact, sometimes those are hilarious and I enjoy reading them. So don't hesitate to do a negative review. Okay. Right. Okay. So we're organizing this the same way we've organized all of our other essays. So our thesis paragraph and concluding paragraph still going to do all those same jobs in order that we've always done. In your body paragraphs, yours is trying to deal with a movie. So if you are saying that you didn't like the animation, you need to spend a whole paragraph discussing the animation and why you didn't like it. Okay. I mean, a good way to get the development that you need there is to complain about something in the beginning of the film, complain about something in the middle of the film, and complain about something at the end of the film, and then you have a nice, well-developed paragraph. Now, if you have another way of organizing that paragraph, that's totally fine, but I recommend that simply because it definitely gives your reader the sense that you did watch the whole film. Yes, you can. Yes. Yeah, no, whether you like it or don't like it, it doesn't matter at all. You're just giving a review, and it should be an honest review. So you're going to watch all of them and pick either the one you like the most or the one you like the least to work with, and it doesn't matter. I would say if you don't like any of them, pick the one you like the least so that you can be really vicious about it. And if you kind of like them all, pick the one you like the most and write about that so you can really give it high praise. Does that make sense? Okay. Definitely don't pick a piece you don't understand. If there's a film where you really just don't get it, don't write about that one. Because although it is a failure in some ways that it couldn't get its message across more clearly, I definitely understand them all. I think they are all understandable. And I think if you wrote about it saying it didn't make any sense, it's not going to present you in the best light. You want to make sure that if you're saying you didn't like something, it's not because you just didn't understand it. Does that make sense? Okay. So make sure you are choosing one of the ones that you feel that you understand. Okay. If there's one where you just don't get it, definitely don't pick that one. Okay. Because I think you should understand them. And I think some of them you will understand. So pick one that you definitely understand. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop. Go again. for the record, you can have a mixed review. A lot of us do have mixed feelings about the things we buy or see or eat, right? Like, hey, I really liked the food at this restaurant, but the servers were downright rude, right? Mixed feelings are part of a normal review, so it's fine to do that. Just make sure that your thesis says it very clearly, like, I'm giving this restaurant a B because the food was good and it was nice and clean, but I'm grading them down from an A because people were rude. Haha. Right? So it doesn't have to be everything was perfect or everything was horrible. You can give it 3 out of 5 stars or 4 out of 5 stars and have a couple of pieces of praise and a negative. Just make sure that it's balanced. If you're only giving something 3 out of 5 stars, make sure you have a couple of negatives, one for each of the stars you're taking away, right? I took a star off for this and I took another star off for this, right? And so make sure that you're thinking about the level of praise or criticism you're given based on your review, right? But it doesn't have to be an all or nothing review. And if your tutor says it does have to be, you can show them this video and say, okay, at the 46-minute mark, she says, nuh-uh. Okay. All right. Other questions?